Hello and welcome to CCN Coastal Conservative News. My name is Legge.
And I'm Michelle Posey. Guys, our team is happy that you tuned in this week. Let's get things started with our week in review.
Welcome to our week in review. Our top story of this week surrounds a couple of protests that took place right here in Sarasota, Florida this past week. Let's start by taking a look at the interactions we had last Saturday when protesters showed up in Sarasota, Florida, outside of a Tesla dealership to protest Doge and Elon Musk. Let's roll the video.
He's okay with going on camera to interviews. This is
Are you?
Allie.
Hi.
So you're from Manatee County.
Yes.
You're out here on Saturday opposing Elon Musk and I'm assuming Doge. Can you tell me a little bit about what your concern is?
You get me started, you might have to cut the tape.
That's okay. No, we got time.
Okay. When I was in the third grade, we had bomb drills because Khrushchev said Russia will marry you.
Right.
As a small child then, that never left my mind. All the wars we've had, Korea, Vietnam, Kuwait, Iraq. He said, why are we fighting? To protect our democracy is the answer. Is that right? Okay. And now we've chosen to side with Russia, who I was hiding under a desk from in 1953. These people are traitors, and I'm not mincing my words.
And just so I'm clear, what in the administration are you specifically calling out as traitors, or do you think it's everybody that's come in?
I'm calling out the one that blatantly violated the 14th Amendment by sending a mob to attack the Capitol. That's who I consider.
So did you feel the need to publicly come out then when people infiltrated just recently the bottom ground of Trump Towers as well as Columbia University in support for Hamas, which is a complete
Terrorist organization.
I just wonder, did that bother you as well?
Well, I'll tell you what, I have stopped watching the news since the election, so I am unaware of many things.
Right. And I just wondered because
I can't sleep at night.
Yeah, I get it. Allie is actually a veteran of the Army. So one of the things that we discussed, and I wonder what your take is on it, in the way that we withdrew from Afghanistan, losing 13 members of our military and actually leaving behind billions of dollars of equipment, was that something that also, it's been Democrats who have systemically put us in the path of war. Do you hold Democrats responsible for starting the wars?
I'm going to tell you this. If you're going to cut this tape
No, I won't.
and edit it, then I won't answer that question.
I want your honest opinion.
My honest opinion is I was not happy with a lot of things that Joe Biden did. The Afghanistan withdrawal was a cluster.
Thank you.
I agree with you on that.
Thank you.
However, are you not afraid for your democracy?
No, we live in a republic and I'm not scared.
Can I ask you, with respect to the democracy, can I ask you real quick, when they didn't allow you to vote for who was going to be on the presidential primary ticket, when they didn't allow you to vote for Kamala Harris instead of Joe Biden, wasn't that a complete usurpation of democracy? Wasn't it your own party who did that? I'm just trying to understand it.
Again, I'm not aware, so no comment.
Okay. Well, you know what? What's your first name?
My name's Terry.
Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Well, this is what we need, is to have the conversation.
Yes, thank you for being so brave.
I'm actually going to give you a hug because there's more that unites us than divides.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Thank you for coming out on a Saturday.
You bet.
Elon Musk, you're saying, is a Nazi because of what his beard said.
Oh no, his
Okay.
Nazi salute twice.
His Nazi salute.
It's very evident to us and to Germany. Germany will tell you.
Well, and I didn't see that, but that's a art gesture that I didn't take out of context.
It's
I don't
not an arm gesture.
Okay, explain that to me a little bit.
Well, I'm not going to perform it for you.
No.
Look at his face
Uh-huh.
when he raised his hand.
Okay.
That is a Nazi salute. And all the Germany recognized it.
And so again, when Hamas supporters infiltrated Trump Tower,
Why do you keep reading?
well, because I didn't see people picketing on the side of the street, so I'm trying to understand why some people. You protested against Hamas? As sympathizers on Columbia's campus?
No.
Oh,
Why not though? Because I'm not in Columbus and also because I protested for it.
okay, but you're not in the White House.
I think it's our right to say what they want to say.
Well, I may not agree with you on everything, but I love the fact that you come out, you take your Saturday to really
Are
do
you
what you
with
believe
a
in.
TV
So,
radio TV station or
I want
something?
to express my love and gratitude
CCN
to you.
Coastal
We probably
Conservative
agree on
News
some things, but
and the
thank you
Hollow
for
Alliance.
coming out. I really appreciate that. And this is what you should be doing, right? Holding our government accountable. This is what you should be.
I want to say, Governor, even though I don't agree on the week, talk about how do you feel about the fires on the backs?
Well, so she is a vet.
Market yourself.
I'm sorry?
You play the stock market yourself.
I don't
I've
play.
lost $90,000.
You mean through Biden's America?
No,
No, through Trump's tariff.
Trump's terrorists.
So are you saying that's through the Department of Government Efficiency?
Yeah,
That's what they're doing?
absolutely.
So were you also equally as upset when Bill Clinton in 1993 did the Omnibus Reduction Act and killed a bunch of jobs because he was trimming the fat about it? And were you equally as upset with that?
We're not against the trimming it back above the gun. We're against them just firing at that. Like what was that? 6,000 people they just fired, and now they're all got their jobs back because this idiot Musk doesn't know what he's doing.
I understand. Were you equally as upset during 2021 and 2022 when they told many of us that our jobs were not essential, and so we lost our jobs, our schools closed, children went without their education?
You know what?
Did that bother you equally?
You have a right to your opinions,
Okay.
but I'm not going to be persecuted because
No, not at all.
Oh, this is definitely not a persecution. It's just a question.
Hold up signs for every time, not
I
just.
do.
Okay,
I've given out my signs here.
good. Well, I didn't see him here for
One, I went to
COVID.
this rally just last week.
That one I love.
Okay.
I won't take it. Again, thank you for talking to us, guys.
Last week, look at
I think it's important.
You guys with the station?
I have now I wrote a shirt on it, and that was for the children being separated from their children. I do march, and I marched that one by myself.
Speaking of children being separated, were you equally as upset at what was going on at the border with the 500,000 missing children that had come across the border that our government under Biden and Harris did not understand why they didn't want? They literally lost half the nation.
Rise Trump back.
I'm asking, were you all equally as upset with that?
Trump was the one that incarcerated the children.
You're right, because we found 75,000, so they're estimating it's around 40,000.
Trump was the one that incarcerated
It was the-
children and separated them from their families.
They've been separated by
Remember, honey, I lived it, I watched it, I breathed it.
As a Mexican American,
away.
I'm telling
Go away.
Okay.
I'm
There
done.
we go. When you get to the facts, they don't want to talk anymore.
Fact.
What's your name?
My name is Ellen Binder.
Ellen? Sorry. I'm Michelle. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice
So-
to meet you too.
It's a beautiful Saturday. We're glad you're out here, but you're out here for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why it was important for you to come out today with this message?
It was very important for me to come out today with this message to perhaps have a reasonable something to show people who are on Donald Trump's side, who are his constituents, that we will not tolerate the destruction of this government. Change is good, we agree, but not complete razing of all of our institutions. And what the other side, what the Republicans or his constituents don't understand is that if passing this dirty CR, number one, allows Trump to continue to do as many tariffs as he wants to without Senate oversight, but more importantly, it allows him to move on to the tax bill. One of the main features of the tax bill that we have seen is that the $800 billion cut in taxes to the billionaires is going to be replaced, renourished with what money? With the money, $700 billion from Medicaid. The most vulnerable people in our society are going to take the hit for the billionaires who least need it. And that's infuriating.
So how do you feel about your tax dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars of your tax dollars going to Ukraine to fund their government?
I'm in favor of funding, not Ukraine, I'm in favor of funding an entity that is in the middle of Europe, our greatest allies. And do you really think that Putin is our friend and that he's not going to move into Poland and the other places?
Let me ask
So
you a quick.
I do condone funding Ukraine. Personal.
Let me ask you a quick question. It sounds like, based off the research you've done, that you care about anybody wasting your tax dollars, or like, especially here in Florida, we have people that are on a fixed income, right? They come here to retire.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that on both sides of the aisle, we kind of agree on. Maybe we don't agree on the way it's happening. Can I ask you real quickly, in 93, because I'm kind of a 90s baby, that's when I was in college, Bill Clinton came out with this Omnibus Reduction Act where he slashed, it was, for a Democrat, in my opinion, it was a very, very bold move. He slashed the red tape and he slashed a lot of government jobs. He called it trimming the fat. And I wonder, coming through that, through the Clinton administration,
Did that upset you? Or is there something specific about the fact that we're doing it now under Trump that upsets you more?
Remember when I was less political then? I'm not aware of all this. It was before my time, if you can believe that. No, the actuality is that as I was a teacher for almost 30 years,
Yeah.
and I can tell you there is waste in this country. There is waste in our bureaucracy. There is waste in education.
Yeah.
But you don't reform, wrong word, you don't fix waste by raising everything to the ground. You don't reform waste by doing it in a partisan fashion like this CR was done.
How would you prefer it to happen?
I would prefer, number one, going back to the CR, if both sides of the aisle had sat down and come up with a plan that would have served both. Also, what do we see being fixed? All Trump and Elon Musk have done is raise everything to the ground. They've canceled people. They've canceled agencies. What I would like to see is a bipartisan Senate and Congress that we have had in the past sit down and come up with reforms. What do you want? What do I want?
Right.
Let's talk.
Let me ask you,
We don't have a functioning government right now.
does it bother you that somebody like Chuck Schumer came out in support of this, the CR?
What bothered me is that Chuck Schumer didn't use some of the facts of the CR to prepare people for what was going to happen so that they could allay the blame. Because I believe that this was a Republican program to set up this CR. They knew full well that the Democrats couldn't accept this. So my husband is giving me this.
Well, and I don't want to take up your Saturday.
Okay.
I believe there's more that unites us than divides us. And I think us having this conversation is really important.
What's dividing us?
Well, honestly, if you want my honest opinion, I'm an independent journalist. I think what divides us is legacy media, not allowing us to do this. I don't have to see you as a threat or as somebody who's an opponent.
So you agree
I see you
with
as
the free speech executive order?
with the free speech executive order. I agree with the First Amendment. I don't need an executive order to say what I can do.
Is Trump taking any actions to prevent people from speaking up against him?
He's not. He's actually opened up the press corps room to a bunch of independent journalists like myself. If you want to talk about quenching the First Amendment, let's discuss the fact that I've been deplatformed from many social media sites because I spoke out against the lockdowns in COVID. And all I'm saying is I will support your First Amendment. I'll help hold your sign even though I don't agree with it because it's your right. And all I'm saying is as Americans, if we can stop seeing each other as the opponent and start seeing each other as somebody who has an equal right to be upset. Sure,
But
absolutely.
if our government is not doing that, if Trump goes in and coerces his Republican senators to vote for what he wants, is a president blackmailing his constituents and his representatives?
I would want proof of the coercion because the only place that I saw true coercion was when people were forced to sit down and inject a needle in their arm that we did not get the facts of it.
But you're okay with the government controlling your inner bodily functions?
I control it, whether this opens or closes. It's open for business only if I say it is.
Thank you very
The
much.
government doesn't say that.
Does sex equate to consent to have a baby?
You want to talk about consent?
Does having sex equate to consenting to have a baby?
I believe in the Bible. The Bible says when you lay down with a man
What
or a
about
woman,
people who don't?
that's fine. You don't have to.
Why are you imposing your religion on others?
I don't agree.
Why are you imposing it?
So I don't believe in murder. I don't believe in murder.
Do you believe in healthcare?
I believe that healthcare is more than just what happens after I get
How many people
pregnant.
did God kill in the Great Flood?
How many people did he kill after Sodom and Gomorrah? And that's the same thing that's going on right now.
What did the Gomorrans do?
They were sinning.
No, the Sodomites were. What did the Gomorrans do?
They fled.
They didn't do anything.
They fled
Why were they destroyed?
because of the sin.
They weren't the sinners. The Sodomites were. What did the Gomorrans
The sin is part of not speaking up. If you choose not
Which is why we do what we do.
do? Is homosexuality a sin?
I don't care what an adult does. Just don't push anything sexual on children.
Who's pushing?
Well, honestly,
What proof do you have?
okay,
Are you
listen.
serious right now? What proof do we have?
Show me
Haven't
the-
you seen it?
I've seen a couple of library books that shouldn't
A
be there.
couple of library books. There's over.
She ran for school board, so this is the this.
Is it wrong to accept gay and transgender?
It's not wrong to accept gay children. What's wrong is to force children to to know what sexual, how to perform sexual acts while they're in school to learn math and science and English.
There's a class on there?
Yeah, no, it's called sex ed. And the books that they were given were literally teaching them how to fist each other.
And you're a veteran, and thank God. Thank you for your
And that's
service.
all you see in that entire
I would
curriculum?
love that.
It's the curriculum that I
What
have
about
seen, yes.
STDs? What about avoiding
That's not what they were talking about in the sex ed.
Yes, they are.
No, it's not.
Oh, show me.
I have.
Show me the curriculum.
Send me your email and I will show you everything that I have.
What's your email?
I will give it to you.
So you believe that teachers tell the kids, okay, this is what you can do with
Yeah,
your
when you have teachers that are literally putting condoms on bananas and having the children in the classroom putting condoms on bananas, yes, that is a problem.
What harm does that create?
Why are you teaching children to put condoms on bananas?
avoid getting
No.
pregnant.
That is not a teacher's job. A teacher's job is to teach them math, science, English, and that's it. Everything outside of that needs to be taught by a
You're
parent.
pro-birth. You're anti-abortion.
By yourself or with some others?
You're anti-abortion.
I don't believe in murder, no. But I do support people's decisions to make
You should be taught how to avoid pregnancy.
I think that is important. Not children. Children, no. Children, absolutely not.
I'm not talking about a kid this young.
Well, that's how young they're teaching them.
I don't believe it.
You don't have to believe
Why
it. The
would
facts are
you
there.
teach a child this young?
Exactly why, but they are, sir.
Prove it!
We have parents that have been in the classroom to prove it.
Prove it! Show me this proof! I haven't seen it. Show me proof of something.
Okay, I'll tell you what. On my social media sites, if you go back about a year, I went to an event that was titled Drag King Story Hour. Listen. Now you asked me to show you
about this curriculum.
I am telling you.
Every single school in America has.
I went in.
That teaches.
I went in with a young person. I went in with a young person.
Okay.
The young person goes in. Okay. Plenty of people from our local school district were there. Teachers. Plenty of people. It's their right to do what they want to do on a Saturday. But I go in, and the little kid that was with my friend went in, they handed them a book. The child looked at the book and said, "Can I take this home?" That person did not say, "You know what, where's your parent? Let's make sure that it's okay." Said, "Yes, sweetie, they're free.
Where
Go."
was the parent?
Right next to me, but didn't ask.
Where was the kid?
Right next to me. Again, didn't ask. So I grabbed the book.
Why did you bring your kid
I
there?
grabbed the book as auntie. You want an answer to your question or not? I opened the book. The book is cartoon figures of male and female body parts being sexual. And I said, hold on. I said this to their face because I'm not going to say this.
And school libraries.
Yes, I said.
Is it in public school?
Yes. Yes.
Books in libraries are considered curriculum.
And I said to them, sir, I'm trying to answer your question. I said to them, you're giving this to children without asking the parents.
Why do you suppose these books? There's a lot of them. There's one that's called "What's in a Family," and it explains
the gingerbread.
No, it's called "The Great Big Book of Families." The Great Big Book of Families. There's one sentence in it that it says, some kids have two mommies and two daddies. What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that is only 40% of our 3rd and 4th graders can read on level. So why are you teaching about families? Family education comes from the home. It doesn't come from the school. Family education comes from the home. It doesn't come from the school.
So
teach them to read, teach them to write, teach them to add and subtract, and let mom and dad handle what happens at home.
So you don't want LGBT people validated?
I don't want that in our schools at all. I don't want heterosexual validated. I want that to be done at home.
I want to see the curriculum that is in every
Then you need to go to school board meetings.
I know the books.
Okay,
what
does this have to do with Doge? Because isn't that why you're here?
Doge is because of Trump.
Yes. So why are you asking us about LGBTQ rights and what all that?
That's not true.
Are you sure?
That's not true.
No, but I'm asking you, like, where is that proof? Because you're asking for us for proof, but where's the proof that you're saying that Donald Trump is killing LGBTQ?
Probably the Supreme Court was chosen based on their views of marriage and the intent of the religious right.
So, like the Supreme Court, when the Democrats are in, they choose theirs based on their own?
Change. And the purpose of people voting for Trump, especially the evangelicals, was to seat the 6 justices, 2 of them stolen, to get rid of abortion and get rid of same-sex marriage.
So you can still get an abortion in almost all 50 states. You do know that, right? It was just taken away from the federal government because it wasn't supposed to be at the federal level, period. Well, that's your own Florida. If you don't like it, petition your government in Florida.
But you're imposing your values on others.
We're not, so are you.
No, not.
Yes, you are. The LGBTQ are also imposing their values. And so when we gave a mandate, it was 83%, 76% of Americans don't believe the LGBTQ, sex, transgender, and all that should be taught in schools.
It's not taught.
Okay. All right. We agree to disagree. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that.
It was very interesting to see the reactions we got when we simply tried to engage with people, to have a conversation about what they believe, why they believe it, and to question why they feel the way they do. And by all means, Allie, don't bring receipts with you. You apparently get shut down as soon as you prove a narrative to be false. It was very eye-opening.
Yes, and this was just the first of 2 protests of its kind here in Sarasota. The second one came during a roundtable discussion at New College of Florida, which featured Governor Ron DeSantis and Tom Homan, obviously speaking about illegal immigration. And Michelle, you were on location to cover that story. Let's take a listen.
Hi guys, Michelle Posey here at New College of Florida. We're actually right outside Ringling where we see protests here. What are they so upset about? Apparently Tom Homan is visiting the Suncoast right here in Sarasota, Florida. He's meeting with Governor DeSantis. They're talking about ICE and how the state of Florida is going to back Trump's initiative to deport those who are here illegally. You can see that they are protesting. We've got a lot of chants here. What are they chanting? No ICE, no KKK. Somebody has failed miserably in our education system if we're now comparing ICE to KKK, but I wanted to bring you guys some footage here so you can see for yourself.
So ugly.
We're here feeling the love today, feeling all the love from the party of love and inclusion.
Daddy's little girl. We got daddy's money. We don't. We work for a fucking living. Guys, I'm engaged with her. Bro, you see, go away. Go away.
And where do you lie in all of that?
I'm probably on the opposite side of many of the people here, but I like to be able to hear why they feel the way they feel. I don't think we got here overnight, and so I'm just interested. We don't do this debate thing anymore. We're like, you can tell me what you feel and I can express, and we don't personalize it. We don't hate it. And I kind of want to get back to that. So I just, instead of alienating people that don't agree with what I agree with, I want to come out and hear why they feel the way they feel. So not many people have talked to me today here, but I'd be able to get a little bit of footage of the signs to be able to get an idea of what people are upset about. On this particular topic of immigration, I'm of Mexican descent, so I understand the will for people to want to come to this country and have a better way of life. We're obviously a nation founded on immigrants, but we can't continue to operate as sort of a borderless nation or a nation without laws. Do I want to see changes made maybe to our immigration system? Yeah, I think that should be one of the things we tackle because I bet we could agree on it. But we can't let people just come here whenever they want, whoever they want, from wherever they want. We need to be a nation of laws, and that's where we stand today. And constitutionally, I think Trump and ICE are acting right within what they can do. I know people aren't fans of his. They're maybe not fans of the way he's doing it. But as somebody who, again, has Mexican-American descent, many people who waited 14, 15 years to get here legally, I don't think that's right, but that is the law. So maybe we can get together and we can work on how to fix the immigration system. If you've ever gone just a little bit south of here to Fort Myers, there are people making a killing off of illegal immigrants here trying to help as being an attorney. They've got them scared. They don't know the language. So it's like not only were they convinced to come here illegally, which I disagree with, but now that they're here, people are making money off of them because they're afraid to get help to go. How do I go back? How do I stay legally? It's like we're victimizing them twice. And so even though they're doing their right by protesting, I want to have us sit down and agree with what can we do to fix the situation? What are we going to do? Because now we've got literally millions of people here Some of them are already productive members of society. So what does that look like? What does that look like to those that want to come here and still attend our colleges? What does that look like to people who are now having families? And that's true in my family. They're now married. They're wanting to have kids. What does that look like? Getting beyond the anger of the issue, which I do understand, is where we need to get. And again, this is a perfect example. A car manufacturer who's not even here, but a private citizen who bought a vehicle in this country, a legal citizen, can't drive by in his car. You're going to tell me this is America? You're going to tell me this is what we stand for? We're better than this. He bought a freaking car that, by the way, the left loved once upon a time. I understand being upset with Trump. Come to find out, a lot of people on the right, we don't agree on everything either. But my goodness, a Tesla driving down the street is going to stir that kind of anger? We're better than this. We're better than this. I'm not entirely educated on that particular topic. What I do know about it, or what I've heard, is that we're concerned about what's been going on our college campuses, where people are actually inciting a type of hatred towards Jews. I don't want to hate anybody. I don't like a lot of lifestyles, but that doesn't mean I hate you. And you should have a right as a professor to go on campus and teach your class. You should have a right as a paying student to go attend your class, regardless of what nationality or what ethnic or what religious base you are. So if somebody's going to come here and incite that kind of violence, I don't care who you are. We have to renegotiate. Why are you here? You said you were here on a student visa, but yet you're going to incite violence on a student campus? We absolutely have the right to renegotiate that. And so I stand behind Donald Trump on that. I know I'll differ from some people here, but I do stand behind him for that. We've got to protect our campuses. Allie, it was an eye-opening experience to see sympathizers of socialism, sympathizers of terrorism right here on our beautiful Sarasota soil. And even though I respect their First Amendment right to protest, what alarms me is the anger and rage and hate and venom that is spewed by groups of individuals that say they want a platform of peace, love, and inclusion, even though that obviously doesn't include my right to oppose their viewpoint. Surprisingly, no news media was there covering either event, which further proves the legacy media's agenda to not cover both sides of an issue or to shed light on the growing hateful rhetoric that the left is pushing in this country. That's why we here at CCN are devoted to doing just that.
Yes, we are committed to keeping you informed. We are going to take a short break to hear about Trudeau's PRP therapy. We'll be right back after this.
So Joey is our middle child. We have 3 kids. He's 13 years old, and he was born with a chromosome deletion, and he was diagnosed with autism and intellectual disability. When he was 8 years old, he was diagnosed with epilepsy, and he started having seizures almost once a week. When Vic told us about this treatment, and since he had his first treatment, he hasn't had a seizure. He's been seizure-free for over 3 months, and it's been a miracle, really.
I wasn't 100% sure if it was going to work on the level that it did, but you know, I can say now, without a doubt, like, it really, really works. Nothing else has worked as good as this.
Right. He's been much happier. Like, he's had a lot more energy. He's just been in a positive mood, talking more.
Interacting more.
Yeah.
And just more vocal, and also very funny.
Right, and Joey will always be Joey. We love Joey the way he is. We just want him to be happy and healthy. He taught me patience, true unconditional love.
Acceptance,
yeah,
right? I mean, Joey's like an angel.
He is an angel.
Welcome back to CCN. In this week's Suncoast Community segment, Raj Doraisamy breaks down the current legislation that is being considered during our Florida legislative agenda. Let's go to Raj.
In this episode of CCN, we're going to be doing an update on what is happening in Tallahassee. You've already heard from our previous broadcasts that there's an effort to increase the level of robustness in our election process. We now have more information about how that is going. So there are 3 initiatives that are taking center stage with regard to election security. The first one is trying to strengthen the vote by mail process. As you know, the Carter administration, former President Carter, had determined through a bipartisan effort that voting by mail is a sure way to increase fraud. And as you can see from the news, that is exactly what people are concerned about when it comes to the 2020 elections. However, we're talking about Florida now, and in Florida, volunteers have identified gaps in the process for vote by mail. It is significantly more complicated for your local county election supervisors to manage vote by mail. There's so many more pieces, but they have written up language that will strengthen the process. The second area is make sure that only U.S. citizens have an opportunity to vote in Florida. And that effort also has received a lot of attention. And the third area is now something that's come on the scene, which is the use of digital ballots when managing discrepancies in voter count instead of using paper ballots. So these are three initiatives that are out there. You have heard us talk about that in previous broadcasts. And so what we're now finding, to our dismay, is the politics, the shenanigans, if you will, that Tallahassee employs when the people try to make sure that the election processes are improved. Why do we say that there are shenanigans being employed? Well, this is what we're finding out. First of all, the volunteers have taken the time to research the problem. Then they wrote it down in a very clear format. Then they sent it to their legislators. Then they hand-delivered it to legislators. And now sponsors, meaning legislators, have sponsored these bills. This is a tremendous accomplishment for unpaid volunteers who have taken the time to become experts in these particular aspects of the election process. However, what do we find now? Well, we find that when we go to the committee chairs, these are the men and women that we elected that are appointed as chairs for specific committees that will handle these bills. So if you got a bill relative to economics, it'll go to a committee that's dealing with economics. A bill that's dealing with water or the use of land, it'll go to that kind of committee. In our case, these are election bills, and so those will go to committees relative to election management. So the volunteers go to the committee chairs and say, hey, respected committee chair, please take the bill that a colleague, a legislator, has already sponsored and filed, and please put it on the meeting agenda. You see, my friends, unless a bill is put on the meeting agenda, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's a conversation that takes place with those offices. And then what volunteers are being told is, oh, your sponsor has not asked for it to be put on the agenda. So the volunteer goes back to the sponsor and say, hey, we're being told you haven't asked for your bill to be put on the agenda. They're told by the sponsor, oh no, we sent it out in February, then we sent it out in March. So now the volunteers go back to the committee chair, hey, we're not going to say you lied, but with all due respect, we did, it has been filed, it has been put on. So that's the next hurdle. Then the next hurdle is, if it's put on the committee agenda, it has to be reviewed by analysts. Oh, we're sorry, we can't put on the agenda because it hasn't been put by analysts. So committee chairs tell our volunteers, your sponsor has not asked for their bill to be put on the agenda. So the volunteer goes to the sponsor's office. Hey, sponsor, thanks for sponsoring the bill, but we're being told that you haven't put this bill on the agenda. Oh, no, we have. We did it in February, then we did it in March again. Volunteers go back to the sponsor, the committee chairs. Hey, respected committee chair, in fact, the bills have been asked to be put on the sponsor on the agenda, but you haven't done so. So this is a runaround. And if you look at it from the outside, this kind of behavior at senior levels would never, ever be tolerated in the corporate world. But we have politicians, some that are giving you the lip service. Oh, thank you so much for coming to Tallahassee. Thank you so much for writing this all out. We need more people like you. And then on the back end, deliberately manipulating the system and process to give volunteers a runaround. So if this is of importance to you, we ask that you please contact your legislators, specifically the committee chairs, and ask that the bills that, if you're interested in election integrity, be put on the agenda and be heard. And we've received information on where you can get the contact information and the list of committees. If you're interested in that, you can go to defendflorida.org/resources, defendflorida.org, and you will see in the green section an area where you can see the committees that need to speak about this, the people that you need to call, their contact information. So again, very, very startling, the runaround being given by politicians to the people of Florida in this area. We're now going to change gears. We're going to stay on the same topic, but we're going to talk about something equally egregious, and that is a deliberate effort for the county government in your county to be bypassed, completely bypassed. And who benefits from this? You'll never guess. It's developers. To talk more about this, we're happy to have Annie Delgado, the founder of ConserveWatch USA. Annie, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm so glad to be with you here again, Raj, and on the Coastal Conservative News. I'm loving this.
You're so welcome. We've had you on before. You're always making a huge difference at the state and national level. You are working to help candidates get elected. You have chapters throughout the state of ConserveWatch USA. Annie, talk to us about this issue here, and I think you have a guest as well, John, that you want to bring on as well. Please bring us up to speed, Annie.
I do, and thank you again for having me. But this is vitally important, and you're absolutely correct. There is always the shenanigans going on behind the scenes. Well, the issue that I want to talk about today, and I'm glad to have my friend John Holman with me, I'll introduce him a little further in a minute here, is there is a Senate bill. It's Senate Bill number 1118. It has a House companion bill, and the House number is 1209. Now, what this bill actually does, this bill was filed by Senator Stan McClain out of Marion County, which is a county that I happen to have a home and live in. And this is extremely disturbing because what this bill does is, and being a former commissioner, I understand and know how this goes. It strips away our home rule for every single county in the state of Florida, 67 of them, including the municipalities that overrides their comp plans would be absolutely made history. This bill turns the hands over to the state, where if, especially in Marion County, where we have a lot of horse farms and a lot of acreage and rural areas, it would destroy the ability of the different county commissions and city councils as well, and city commissions, when it comes to them approving their plans. So when these developers come in, all they have to do is go to their buddy in the state legislature, and they bypass all of what these county home rules are and their comp plans.
I think you had a guest. I want to make sure we have a guest on. Can we bring John on as well, Annie?
Absolutely. And that's what I was just getting to right now, because I am so proud of all the work that my dear friend John Holman has been doing with this regard as well. And we have many, many people now. John is with Defending Rural Florida.
Well, thank you, Annie. Good to see you, Raj, too, as well. And I appreciate this opportunity. So these two bills, 1118 and 1209, would just effectively take away a local county and city commission from having really much say in the future of their land use changes. So many counties across Florida, county commissioners and such, are actually pushing back against development, and so and denying development permit orders. So what happened is these developers said, "Oh, no, we can't have that." So typically what happens is that when somebody, let's say in this case for this bill of agricultural property, if they want to develop it, they have to go through the normal processes. And so they apply for a land use change. It goes to the Planning and Zoning Board. And they do all their due diligence. If they approve it, then it goes to the county commission, and the county commission then holds a public hearing to allow the citizens of that area to come in and speak their opinion on this development. And so this will take all that away.
And here's one thing that I do want to point out, which I think is a terrible conflict and self-serving, because Stan McClain, which is out of Marion County, as I said, where I live, he's also a developer. So you have the chairman of this committee that sponsored this bill to have all him and his developer buddies come in together and absolutely take this state over and concrete it over.
This is very important. This is a reversing trend. We have done a lot of reporting on how power in Florida, there's an effort to take it out of the county and move it to the state. And you, my friends, live in the county. So if this is important to you, then please take the action. I'm going to ask Annie to again share the legislators and the committee chairs that you need to call. You can easily go to just Google My Florida Senate. You can Google My Florida House, and you can find out the legislators involved. So you can contact them and make your voice heard. My friends, believe me, the only thing that's standing between your county government being usurped of its rights and duties to represent you at the county level, only thing that's stopping that is going to be you, because the Builders Association is pouring big bucks. They are buying the vote. And so you have to stand up for what is important to you. So Annie, if people want to find out more about this or get in touch with you, how do they do that, Annie?
Please do. The easiest and fastest is to contact Conservative Watch USA at gmail.com. I'm not afraid to put my cell phone number out there. Folks, you can call me anytime. And it is area code 561-346-4473. The reason why I'm not putting the website out right now is because we're updating everything so fast and we've got to get to that. So I don't want people to get confused if they go there and they don't see something. Reach out to Conservative Watch USA at gmail.com or call me and we will give you all the information you need. The senators that need to be contacted immediately, like Bradley, because it's going to her and she's her committee and she's the chairman of it. We want to make sure that we blow up their phones.
And Annie Delgado coming to us from Conservative Watch USA. Thanks for being our guest. And John Holman, thank you also for insight on this. Please take action. And that is the conclusion of this community segment. Back to you, Ali and Michelle.
Thank you, Raj. You can see the great effect that volunteers and activists play in keeping our government of, by, and for the people. And thank you for shedding light on the attempt to usurp the local government in land grabs. Guys, Senate Bill 1118 and House Bill 1209 are two bills that we want to let our elected officials, our elected representatives know that we are not in favor of. Make sure that you reach out to your local representatives and let them know.
We will be right back after a short word from We the People Health and Wellness Center in Venice, Florida.
Imagine rewinding to 2020.
Parents obviously can equip their kid to go to school however they want, but there shouldn't be any coercive mandates.
Local school board members made a firm decision enforcing mandates that disregarded the voices of concerned parents.
This virus is going after our young children.
The emergency school board meeting in Sarasota dissolved into chaos as the board discussed mandating masks for students, which ultimately passed tonight.
Refusing to back down, thousands gathered at the Hollow, determined to secure exemptions for their kids. With the support of dedicated doctors, they navigated every path to shield their children from mandates. Yet, despite these united efforts, a darker challenge surfaced. Doctors who issued exemptions became targets, some even losing their jobs for standing by their convictions. That's when the decision was made, a bold new vision to create a sanctuary for children's health and a support system for parents' rights. Thus, We the People Health and Wellness Center was born, founded on a mission to serve, to support, and to protect. This vision has since expanded, aligning with the Make America Healthy Again movement and incorporating the most advanced treatment modalities. Additionally, We the People Health and Wellness Center has launched a series of transformative community-based events, each featuring a trusted expert. In December, Dr. Joseph Ladapo spoke about his new book to a packed audience. Next, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny in an intimate lunch and learn. Still to come, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Brian Artis, plus others. The new management, doctors, and staff of We the People Health and Wellness Center stand with you, ensuring that no parent will ever have to face medical tyranny alone again. We are here to empower, to inform, and to support you for a healthier community.
Thank you for keeping it here at CCN. Let's take a look at our Political Pulse segment. Welcome to Political Pulse on CCN. We're excited to announce, guys, that the waste that is known as the Department of Education is being tackled by the Trump administration. Now, our own Allie Legge was in attendance at the White House to witness this.
Hey, Patriot fam, it's Allie Legge. I am just leaving the White House after we did this press conference briefing on removing and dismantling the Department of Education. President Trump is returning education back to the parents and back to the states where it should be. He mentioned some statistics that were really shocking. I know a lot of us know that America in our education is very low on the totem pole when it comes to other countries. However, in our own country, he said that 70% of our 8th graders are not proficient in reading or math, basic math skills. And when he asked, what does basic mean? And he said literally adding numbers together, small groups of numbers together. 80% of our 8th graders, or 70% of our 8th graders, guys, that is terrible statistics. And then we had Representative Hageman yesterday, when she was on the news, she reported that about less than 20% of the funds that go to the Department of Education actually go to our public school system. Guys, that is absolutely terrible. One of the things that he did mention that I was very excited about was President Trump said that our special needs students and students that require more assistance will be protected. Those funds will be protected. They will be funneled through other organizations and they will be taken care of. Guys, this is so important. I'm so excited and incredibly honored to have been able to be in the room pushing for education to return back to the parents and to the states where it belongs. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you next time.
Wow, Allie, explain to us, what was it like to be there, and what exactly does this do, bringing education back to the States?
Well, it was incredible to be in attendance watching the president sign the executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. Not only was he signing it, but so were the children in the background. They had their own executive order that they signed, which was really adorable. But the point of removing the Department of Education is to remove the waste. Now, since its inception in 1980, $1 trillion has gone into the Department of Education, and yet less than 10% goes to our public education system within our states. So what this does is it's actually taking away the waste, right, that has not bettered our education system. Wow. It's actually been failing our children because we have seen at least 70% of our 8th graders are non-proficient in reading and basic math skills. Also, wow. A third of our 4th graders nationwide cannot read or write or calculate math proficiently. That is terrible statistics for a $1 trillion government organization. So that clearly means that the amount of money that we are putting into the Department of Education is not equating to better outcomes of education. Yeah. So when we decide to dismantle the Department of Education, what is happening is it is going back to the parents, where the parents are going to be able to direct and decide what educational models best fit their children. Right. And the states will have to figure out how to better fund their schools. That is their job. It is part of the 10th Amendment. That is where it's supposed to go. So let me ask you, because some of what the left's talking points are is that this was going to somehow hurt our special needs children in the public schools. Right. Why is that false? Tell us. It's false because President Trump really does love America, and he loves our children. He is a father and a grandfather, and he understands that the education of our nation is very important to further liberty in our nation. So he is going to protect those grants like the Pell Grants and making sure that our special needs students and our students that need extra care in education, that those funds will be protected. They will be allotted in different departments, and you will still be able to apply for those. So those talking points are absolutely false.
That's amazing, Allie, and I'm so glad that you have been in the White House for what I think is the 4th time in as many weeks, so we're grateful. CCN bringing it to you right from the White House. That's awesome. Thank you, Allie, for breaking that down. We also want to share with you guys, our viewers, that there's a bill that we actually need your help to support during this legislative session right here in Florida. It's House Bill 1213. It's filed by Representative Danny Alvarez. And we should all agree, this is the topic we should all agree that must be passed.
Absolutely, yes. This bill, among other things, will require there to be transportation available for kids who live within 3 miles of a known sex offender. It calls for more efficient bus routes and pushes for better bus access, which will help curtail traffic and congestion issues we currently see. Contact your local state rep and demand that they back HB 1213. And thank you to Representative Alvarez for looking out for families in Florida.
Families, I love this. I love this. More of this, right, guys? We need more of representatives that are fighting for our families. We are going to take a short break, and then we'll return with this week's Faith in Focus with Kevin Gamble.
Today we're diving into one of the most world-shaking stories ever told, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It's a tale of grief, mystery, and a twist no one saw coming, and it's got this one crazy detail at the heart of it. If Jesus' body had stayed in that tomb, the whole thing we call Christianity, it wouldn't even exist today. Let's unpack this together. Let's go back to Jerusalem about 2,000 years ago. Picture this. It's early Sunday morning, just before the sun creeps over the horizon. A few women, Mary Magdalene's one of them, are walking through the quiet streets of Jerusalem. They've got their spices in their hands, tears in their eyes. 3 days earlier, they watched Jesus, their teacher, their friend, die on a Roman cross. This wasn't a private execution. It was public, messy, final. The Romans didn't mess around when it came to crucifixions. Jesus had been talking about a kingdom, about hope, about life, and now he's gone. They're headed to the tomb to anoint his body, to say one last goodbye. But when they get there, the stone's rolled away. The tomb's empty, no body. Just some neatly folded burial cloths. And then an angel shows up. Yeah, an angel. He says, "Don't be afraid. He's not here. He's risen," just like he said. These women sprint back to tell the disciples, who are basically hiding out, freaked out, thinking they're next on the hit list. Peter and John bolt to the tomb to check it out themselves, and yep, it's empty. Now let's hit pause and think about this. Jesus had told them he'd rise again. His enemies heard it too. That's why they posted guards and sealed the tomb with a massive stone. They wanted this movement dead, buried, and done. Because here's the thing. If Jesus stays in that tomb, it's game over. His followers, they're not exactly masterminds. They're fishermen, a tax collector, regular guys. Not the type to cook up some grand conspiracy. After the crucifixion, they're terrified and scattered. If his body's still there, they've got no reason to keep going. Dead messiahs don't inspire revolutions. They fade away. But something flips the script. These same guys who were hiding suddenly start shouting in the streets, "He's alive!" They say they've seen him, talked to him, eaten with him. Over the next 40 days, hundreds of people claim they've witnessed it too. This isn't some ghost story. It's a resurrection. And here's the kicker. If that tomb wasn't empty, none of this happens. Christianity does not get off the ground. It wouldn't even exist. Let's dig into that for a sec. Imagine the authorities, Rome, the religious leader. They hate this Jesus movement. If his body's still in the tomb, all they've got to do is drag it out, show it off, and say, "See, your guy's dead. Move along." That would have crushed it right there. But they don't. They can't. Why? Because there's nobody to show. The tomb's empty, and that emptiness becomes the spark that lights everything up. These disciples, they go from zero to hero. They're beaten, jailed, killed, and keep saying, "We saw him risen." Why die for a lie? It makes no sense. What's the payoff? There isn't one, unless it's true. That empty tomb turns them into a force Rome cannot stop. With a few decades, they're preaching this in the heart of the empire itself. No weapons, no money, just a story about a guy who beat death. So what's the deal with the resurrection? It's not just a cool trick. It's everything. Jesus said he was the Son of God, that he'd conquer death. If he's still in the ground, he's just another dreamer Rome took out. But if he rises, that's proof. It's why his followers didn't just talk about a wise teacher, they worshipped a living king. And get this, if that tomb wasn't empty, there's no Easter, no churches, no hope of life beyond the grave preached to billions. It all hinges on that one morning, that one missing body. I love thinking about those women at the tomb. They didn't expect this. They were grieving, not scheming, but what they found changed them, changed the disciples, changed history. That empty tomb didn't just launch a faith, it rewrote the rules. Death isn't the end anymore. It's a doorway, and it starts with a guy who wouldn't stay buried. So here we are, 2,000 years later, still talking about it. Why? Because the tomb couldn't hold him. That's the story that turned a handful of scared followers into a movement that's outlasted empires. Next time you hear about Easter, think about the empty tomb. It's the reason we're having this conversation. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Faith in Focus.
Thank you, Kevin. I love that, Allie, we can tie in our faith along with reporting of current event topics.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Kevin Gamble, for that faith segment. It's just in time for Easter right around the corner.
That's it for us here at CCN. Make sure you like and follow us on all social media platforms.
And if you have a story that you would like us to tell or that you would like to tell, reach out to us at contact@coastalconservativenews.com. That's it for us. We will see you next week.